Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris, the podcast on which I share my life with you, as well as address anything that you want me to, really. So if you've got a topic or a question or anything like that that you'd like me to bring up in the podcast, please leave it in the comments down below and I'll get to it as soon as possible. I try to make an episode every single day. Some days I won't get to. Of course, you know how life gets in the way, but generally speaking, it goes well. Now, for today's episode, the topic is actually kind of meta. And it's meta in the sense that I just want to talk about how... Okay, I'm going to restart that. I'm going to talk about the length of these podcasts, because they are quite long. And I told you once that the reason that they're so long is actually unintended. It just kind of ended up that way during testing and all of those things. But at the same time, I feel like I sometimes have trouble reaching that 16-minute mark that I've gotten so familiar with. And honestly, no one wants to listen to me for 16 minutes anyway. I barely want to listen to me for 16 minutes. I can barely talk for 16 minutes. As such, I've been thinking that rather than being stuck on these 16 minutes, I'm going to take the opportunity to just dial it down a bit and maybe just have it be 10 minutes. I still want it to be a somewhat significant length so as to not allow myself to just come in here, say hi, and then say bye. I don't want to allow that it's just 3 minutes, because that would completely destroy the habit that I'm trying to build. But I do want to keep it a little lower. So I'm gonna aim for somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes, I think. That's where I'm gonna put it this time. As you'll notice, it's been 2 minutes right now, and it's only been 2 minutes. I've already essentially covered the topic of today. And as such, I'm going to have to add new things or talk about a second thing. And while that's great, I get to talk a bunch, it also... So one thing is that it takes my time. And while it's true that I'm doing this for me, and as such, the time it takes is worth it, it's also, doing this stands in the way of other things that I have to do and that I want to do. That's not to say that I don't like doing this anymore. I still very much enjoy waking up and doing this podcast. I just feel like it has come to a point now after 2.5 months where I just don't feel like talking for 16 minutes every day. It's too much. Yeah, I talk more than 16 minutes every day, don't you worry. But it's more so back to the whole thing about no one wanting to listen to it either. These episodes being too long works to deter people from watching. And ultimately, it would be nice to have people watching. And you know what? I can always make them longer. I can always make them longer again once I have an actual audience, because I'll have a bunch of subjects to talk about and some people that are actually interested in listening to the subjects. So it'll probably return to its original 16 or so minute length, but for now it's going to be shortened down significantly, and I might even shorten it down further in the future. I might eventually take this down to being only just 4 to 6 minutes maybe. Now I'm just putting that out there. I don't plan on actually doing it. It's more so that, for example, I'm going to Canada for a few months now. And during that time, I'm kind of debating with myself what I should really do. Should I put this whole thing on pause for a couple of months and then return to it once I get back? That would be kind of unfortunate, but I can't spend, I spent a long time doing this. I recorded, I listened it through, I have to upload it, I do some minor editing, I don't edit these, but I turn it into a video and put in some background music. Not necessarily in that order though, I actually do it the other way around. But yeah, so what do I do? I can't spend that long. I can't spend 45 minutes to an hour every single morning while I'm there. But I guess I could do 5 minutes. And so maybe over the coming months, these things will only be 5 minutes. I don't really know at this point. When I first started this channel, I wrote in the description of my channel that I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know where this is going, and I don't know why it's going anywhere to begin with. And as such, it's important to not get stuck on the rules. Because there are no rules. This is my thing. This is what I choose to do. And whatever I choose to do is the right thing to do. You know? Like, that's just how it is. This is my thing, and I shouldn't feel forced to make it last for an entire 16 minutes. I shouldn't even be forced to make it last 10 to 12 minutes. And ultimately, I might end up realizing that I'm just more comfortable with the 4 to 6 minute version of it. I don't know. We won't know until we get there. And it's like, I actually always say to people that we get there when we get there. I do that in regards to work progress. Because people tend to get really stressed. And yes, I know that deadlines are a thing. But I also try to keep it pretty mellow. And just relax and remember that we will arrive at some point. Sometimes it just takes time. And that's okay. So, again, I'm going traveling, right? I would rather face a flight cancellation than a flight crash. You know? That makes sense, doesn't it? Sure, I'd hate having to wait. It would be super frustrating. But it's better than the alternative. I don't want to crash and burn just because I rushed someone into it when the plane wasn't ready. I don't know, it's a bad analogy. Ignore that analogy, really. But you get my point, right? The point being that sometimes you just gotta take a deep breath, relax, and recognize that things take time, things take practice, and things take failure. I spoke about that yesterday, and I think making these 16 minutes long, approximately, I think that was a failure. So we'll see. I could be wrong. I could be making the mistake right now. You never know until you try these things. And I'm just gonna keep trying and keep trying and keep trying until it just works for me. It doesn't even need to work for you. I don't care if someone listens to this. Well, I do care a little, of course. But for the most part, I don't really get bothered by anyone listening to this and thinking, I wish it was longer. I wish it was shorter. I might adjust to that because it's an expression of the needs of my listeners in that case. But I won't really be bothered by it. It's not like I did something wrong. I just made a choice. These are my choices to make. Gonna keep making them until something makes sense. And right now, things are starting to make more and more sense. Right? Like, I'm working it out. It took me 2.5 months to realize that this was too long. But the truth is, I realized it a long time ago that 16 minutes was too long. I just kept going at it because I forced myself to do it. I shouldn't force myself to do it. I should just do whatever I feel like doing. Because that's the point. It's the same thing with the store I'm building. It's the same thing with the apps I'm building. Everything takes time. And it needs to be allowed to take time. And once you allow it to take time, you will have a greater likelihood of actually succeeding. Like, seriously, you are much more likely to succeed if you allow yourself the time it takes. I realized that during the last project I made. That taking the time to build out a wireframe and a style tile and a mood board and all of those things really supported the development of the project. And so, I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. I'm gonna keep seeing where things go. And hopefully somewhere, someone will tag along for the journey and we'll be able to enjoy it together. But for now, it's been 10 minutes, so let's try to cut it out off here and see how that feels. It feels wrong, I'll tell you that much. I can already feel like my body tensing up a little bit and telling me not to do it. But whatever, that's irrelevant, isn't it? So, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.